CDL Practice Test, Illinois, General Knowledge, Part 9. Question number 204. When approaching a curve, you should A. Downshift while in the curve, B. Downshift as you come out of the curve, C. Downshift at any time, it doesn't make a difference, D. Downshift before entering the curve and accelerate slightly as you go through it. The correct answer is here, D. Downshift before entering the curve and accelerate slightly as you go through it. Explanation. Slow down to a safe speed, and downshift to the right gear before entering the curve. This lets you use some power through the curve to help the vehicle be more stable while turning. It also allows you to speed up as soon as you are out of the curve. Question number 205. If you're driving a 30-foot vehicle below 40 miles per hour, how much following distance should you leave between you and the vehicle in front? A. 5 seconds. B. 2 seconds. C. 4 seconds. D. 3 seconds. The correct answer is here, D. 3 seconds. Explanation. The formula for following distance is 1 second per 10 feet of vehicle, plus an extra second if you are traveling over 40 miles per hour. So for a 30-foot vehicle below 40 miles per hour, this works out to 3 seconds. This is the minimum. Other factors such as visibility and road conditions may require you to leave more room. Question number 206. Your hands should be at the o'clock positions on the steering wheel. A. 11 and 1. B. 4 and 8. C. 3 and 9. D. 10 and 2. The correct answer is here, C. 3 and 9. Explanation. Keeping your hands opposite each other on the steering wheel helps you stay in control if anything, such as a pothole, tries to wrench the wheel out of your hands. Question number 207. What is the IPDE method of driving? A. Identify, project, dedicate, execute. B. Idea, predicts, decide, execute. C. Identify, predict, decide, execute. The correct answer is here, C. Identify, predict, decide, execute. Explanation. Identify, predict, decide, and execute, IPT, is the step-by-step process behind the principles of defensive driving and complexities of visual perception in traffic. Question number 208. What will happen if you have any detectable amount of alcohol under 0.4%? A. You will get a warning and a fine. B. Since it is a small amount, there will be no repercussions. C. You will be put out of service for 24 hours. The correct answer is here, C. You will be put out of service for 24 hours. Explanation. There is no safe amount of alcohol with which to drive a CMV, hence, if you are found to have any detectable back, even if it's under the legal limit of 0.04%, you will be placed out of service for 24 hours. Question number 209. What is countersteering? A. Steering in the opposite direction from what other drivers expect you to. B. Turning the wheel in a counterclockwise fashion. C. Turning the wheel back in the other direction after steering to avoid a hazard. The correct answer is here, C. Turning the wheel back in the other direction after steering to avoid a hazard. Explanation. In a quick turning maneuver such as recovering from a drive wheel braking skid or moving from the shoulder onto the roadway at a higher speed, your vehicle will tend to overshoot and keep turning in the same direction more than you want it to. Be ready to counteract this by turning your steering wheel in the opposite direction. This is known as counter-steering. Question number 210. When driving in hot weather, how often should you check your tires? A. You should check your tires every hour. B. Your tires should be checked every time you stop. C. Your tires should be checked at the beginning and end of each trip. D. Your tires should be checked every 100 miles or every 2 hours. The correct answer is here, D. Your tires should be checked every 100 miles or every 2 hours. Explanation. It is important to check your tires at least every 2 hours or every 100 miles to ensure they have proper pressure and are not overheating. Question number 211. Which of these statements about using turn signals is true? A. You should use your turn signals to mark your vehicle when it is off on the side of the road. B. You do not need to use your turn signals when changing lanes in traffic on a 4-lane highway. C. When turning, you should signal early. The correct answer is here, C. When turning, you should signal early. Explanation. Whenever you intend to turn or change lanes, start to signal well in advance and keep signaling until you've completed the maneuver. Then turn off your signal if it hasn't already turned off by itself. Question number 212. Which of these statements is not true about engine belts in hot weather? A. Loose belts will not turn the water pump and or fan on properly. B. You can check the tightness of belts by pressing on them. C. Cracking is likely to occur but it is not a safety threat. The correct answer is here, C. Cracking is likely to occur but it is not a safety threat. Explanation. Check the tightness of the engine belt by pressing on it. Also check the belt for cracks or excessive wear. A loose or broken belt won't turn the water pump or fan properly, which will cause the engine to overheat. Question number 213. Should I check the level of my oils during a test? A. No, this is not a regular part of pre-trip inspection. B. Only if the instructor states to do so. C. Only if the oil pressure gauges indicate there is a problem. D. Yes, this is a regular part of pre-trip inspection. The correct answer is here, D. Yes, this is a regular part of pre-trip inspection. Explanation. Yes, as part of a regular vehicle inspection as well as during a test, all fluid levels should be checked. Question number 214. Which of the following statements about tank vehicles is true? A. The term tank vehicle refers only to those vehicles having a permanently attached tank. B. All tank vehicles have some sort of bulkhead or baffle. C. Special skills are required to haul liquid tanks. The correct answer is here, C. Special skills are required to haul liquid tanks. Explanation. It takes special skills to drive a tank vehicle safely. A fully loaded tanker can be less stable and more prone to rollovers than other types of CMVs. To legally drive a tank vehicle with a rated capacity of 1,000 gallons or more, you must obtain a tank vehicle N endorsement on your CDL. Question number 215. When you see a hazard ahead, what should you do? A. Alert others by pointing and sounding your horn. B. Start planning what to do if the hazard becomes an emergency. C. Speed up to pass it as quickly as possible. D. Come to a dead stop. The correct answer is here. B. Start planning what to do if the hazard becomes an emergency. Explanation. A hazard is only a potential emergency. Don't act out of panic, but calmly plan what to do if matters get worse. Question number 216. It takes the body about hours to get rid of the alcohol in 4 drinks. A. 6. B. 4. C. 2. The correct answer is here. B. 4. Explanation. The liver processes about 1/3 of an ounce of alcohol per hour, which is equivalent to at most 1 drink per hour. Question number 218. Which of these statements is true about backing heavy vehicles? A. Helpers should be out of sight and use only spoken signals to communicate with the driver. B. It's safer to back toward the right side of the vehicle. C. You should avoid backing whenever you can. The correct answer is here. C. You should avoid backing whenever you can. Explanation. Backing up a large vehicle is always dangerous, even with a helper. Try to avoid backing up as much as possible. Question number 219. When you're driving at 55 miles per hour under good driving conditions, your total stopping distance will be A. At least 216 feet. B. At least 353 feet. C. At least 419 feet. The correct answer is here. C. At least 419 feet. Explanation. At 55 miles per hour under good driving conditions, your total stopping distance will be at least 419 feet, 142 feet of perception distance and 61 feet of reaction distance and 216 feet of braking distance. Open bracket. The length of a football field including the 2 end zones is 360 feet. Under poor driving conditions, the total stopping distance will probably be even longer. Question number 220. Tie downs must be of the proper type and strength. According to federal regulations, the aggregate working load limit of the cargo tie downs must be enough to secure A. 3 times the weight of the cargo tied down. B. Twice the weight of the cargo tied down. C. 1/2 times the weight of the cargo tied down. The correct answer is here. C. 1/2 times the weight of the cargo tied down. Explanation. Under federal regulations, the aggregate working load limit of the tie downs used to secure cargo must be at least 1/2 times the weight of the cargo. Federal regulations also specify a formula to compute the aggregate working load limit of the Tie downs from the working load limits of the individual tie downs. The working load limit of an individual tie down is defined as the maximum load that may be applied to it, as specified by its manufacturer. 49 CFR 393.106, 49 CFR 393.5. Question number 221. You are checking your tires for a pre-trip inspection. Which of these statements is true? A. Radial and bias ply tires can be used together on the same vehicle. B. Tires of mismatched sizes should not be used on the same vehicle. C. A tread depth of 2/32 inches safe for the front tires. The correct answer is here, B. Tires of mismatched sizes should not be used on the same vehicle. Explanation. Tires should never be mismatched in size or type. Radial tires and bias ply tires should not be used together on the same vehicle. Steering axle tires must have a tread depth of at least 4/32 inch. All other tires must have a tread depth of at least 2/32 inch. Question number 222. You are driving in a work zone. Suddenly a construction vehicle pulls into your lane just ahead of you. What should you do? A. Stop quickly and pull to the side of the road. B. Swerve around it and get back into your lane. C. Use your four-way flashers or brake lights to warn others. The correct answer is here, C. Use your four-way flashers or brake lights to warn others. Explanation. When approaching a hazard in a work zone, warn the drivers behind you by flashing your brake lights or, if state law allows it, turning on your four-way flashers. Question number 223. When you drive in the mountains, you will have to use lower gears to drive safely down grades. Which of these does not affect your choice of gears? A. Length of the grade. B. Weight of the load. C. Type of tire tread. The correct answer is here, C. Type of tire tread. Explanation. To determine which low gear to use to begin a descent, consider the weather, the length and steepness of the downgrade, the weight of your cargo, and the road conditions. Question number 224. What should the wheel bearing seals be checked for? A. Cleanliness. B. The color of paint used on the cover. C. The hub oil level and possible leaks. The correct answer is here, C. The hub oil level and possible leaks. Explanation. It can be unsafe to drive with a damaged wheel bearing. Therefore, inspect each wheel bearing for leaks that can allow grease to seep out or dirty water to seep in. The wheel bearing is located behind the wheel. Check for grease on the wheel and any other evidence of cracks or leaks in the wheel bearing. Question number 225. If an automatic transmission is forced into a lower gear while driving, what is not affected on a downgrade? A. Brakes. B. Clutch. C. Steering. The correct answer is here, C. Steering. Explanation. Forcing an automatic transmission into a lower gear at high speed could damage the transmission and also led to loss of all engine braking effect. Question number 226. Which of the following may be a sign of tire failure? A. Vehicle thumping or vibrating. B. Vehicle fishtailing, C. Both of the above. The correct answer is here, C. Both of the above. Explanation. The classic sign of a tire blowout is a loud bang sound. However, if you're driving a long vehicle and a rear tire blows out, you may not hear the sound. In this situation, a thumping or heavy vibration may be the first sign you get that a rear tire has failed. Also, your vehicle may start to fishtail. On the other hand, heavy steering probably indicates that a front tire has failed. Question number 227. Undulated front axles can cause A. Poor traction, B. Unsafe steering, C. Both poor traction and unsafe steering. The correct answer is here, C. Both poor traction and unsafe steering. Explanation. Cargo must be loaded to keep the weight of the vehicle properly balanced. If there's not enough weight over the front axle, the front tires won't have enough traction for the vehicle to be steered safely. Question number 228. Too much weight on the steering axle can cause the following: A. Hard steering, B. Damage to the steering axle, C. Damage to the tires, D. All answers are correct. The correct answer is here, D. All answers are correct. Explanation. Poor weight balance can make vehicle handling unsafe. Too much weight on the steering axle can cause hard steering. It can damage the steering axle and tires.